China has reportedly concealed approximately $3 trillion from the United States by utilizing its state-owned banks and the Belt and Road Lending Initiative. This assertion comes from groundbreaking new research conducted by economist Brad Setzer of the Council on Foreign Relations. According to this research, China's actions have three significant implications for the global monetary system's power dynamics. Firstly, it suggests that China's actual foreign exchange reserves may be twice as large as previously estimated, giving its currency greater resilience against a potential collapse, such as one induced by sanctions. Secondly, it indicates that if China were to defend its currency, it might resort to rapidly selling off its Belt and Road assets, potentially pushing those involved nations into a financial crisis. Finally, it means that, in hindsight, even though many economists believe that China had stopped suppressing the value of its currency, it had actually just found a way to manipulate it without officially being labeled a currency manipulator. So how did China hide $3 trillion? And what does that mean for the global monetary balance of power? Well, as it turns out, the key to answering these questions is to figure out how China obtained so many dollars in the first place. The simple answer is that the Chinese earned these dollars over the course of at least 20 years or so by exporting way more than they imported. You see, while China issues its own currency, the renminbi, it relies almost exclusively on the US dollar for its imports and exports. After all, if its citizens want to import something, their foreign suppliers typically prefer to be paid in US dollars because these can be used all over the world. Similarly, since foreigners typically don't have access to renminbi accounts, Chinese exporters mostly ask to be paid in US dollars whenever they export something. But since Chinese traders need renminbi at home, they will typically use their banks to exchange renminbi for dollars if they are importers, or the other way around if they are exporters. Similarly, since most Chinese banks do most of their business in China, they would then go exchange the renminbi for dollars at the Chinese Central Bank, the People's Bank of China. If they had too many importing clients, they might go ask for more renminbi, or dollars if they had a lot of exporting clients. The kicker is that, on average, the People's Bank of China would end up with a lot of dollars if there are a lot of exporters, and might run the risk of running out of dollars if there are a lot of importers. But given that China has its own strong currency, why did it need to keep a pile of dollars? Well, as mentioned by ex-Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke, the primary use for a pile of foreign exchange reserves, also known as a war chest, is to be able to defend a currency from a crash, which could cause sky-high inflation. The way this works is actually really simple. If your currency is crashing, you just start buying your own currency with your war chest. That's it. The only trick, then, is to figure out how big your war chest needs to be. But one thing is certain. If you have a solid export industry like China, at some point, your war chest is expected to be big enough. Lots of exports mean lots of dollars accumulating in the People's Bank of China, and lots of imports mean that it might run out of dollars. At that point, in the ideal world that economists like to dream about, the People's Bank of China would have no use for a big pile of dollars that earn only a very low interest rate. So logically, it would then start selling any additional dollars it accumulated through exports for renminbi on the foreign exchange markets. Selling dollars to buy back renminbi would then drive up the price of the renminbi versus the dollar. A stronger renminbi would then make Chinese exports more expensive, and therefore less competitive on the global market. On the flip side, it would make American goods cheaper in China, making them more competitive. Therefore, as the renminbi rises, China's imports will start to outnumber its exports. To supply these importers with the needed dollars, its central bank will then buy these on the foreign exchange market with freshly printed renminbi, driving the price of the renminbi down, making China's exports more competitive again. This beautifully simple balancing mechanism is why the global economy is so balanced.